Hello folks, it's Lee Townsend here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be a loop tutorial on my version of Blink-182's I Miss You. If you made a comment on my video on Saturday where I asked you which tutorials you wanted to see, and this isn't what you wanted to see, please do make sure you're subscribed and stick around because I've got loads of really cool ideas of songs to do in the coming weeks. So thanks so much for getting involved. This is one that I've been meaning to do for ages. I've been putting it off because my cover of this song is so old, actually. If you haven't seen my loop cover of this already, click the card above so that you can see which parts of the song I'm referring to during this tutorial. As always, I'm using a Boss RC30 loop pedal and my guitar is in standard tuning, but I've got a capo on the 2nd fret, but it doesn't cover the bottom E string, this string, so it's a little bit unusual with regards to that. And as I go through this song, I'll display the chords down here in kind of tab form so you can see easier what I'm doing with my hands. So the first 3 loops actually in this song are just percussive loops, kind of to put the drums down. The first one is literally just a rhythm, covering the strings like this and playing a rhythm. Just like that for 4 bars, I think it is. It's really important that it is that long as well because we need to fit the chords in afterwards, later on. So the first loop, as I said, is that rhythmic kind of, just strumming pattern. Like that. And then the second one is that rim shot thing that's in the intro of the original song. If you haven't heard the original, where have you been? But go and listen to it so that you can sort of know what I'm trying to do with this. But I do that by hitting the bass of the guitar down here for that rim shot sound. And then the third loop is just the bass drum thing by hitting the bridge down here. For more information about how this guitar is set up with the 2 pickups, click the card above, go and watch the video about my setup. And then after those 3 loops, it's very important that we press the play and record button so that we kind of make a break in it, because the chords that we play afterwards, so the 4th loop, we need to undo those afterwards. And that's kind of what we're doing there, is we're creating a 3rd channel in the loop pedal, because this is a dual channel loop pedal and kind of we need 3. So what I do is I add that last loop in and then use the undo function later on. So I'll add the first 3 loops in so that you can hear how they should sound before sort of making that break and adding the chords in, and then I'll go over the chords with you. So the first 3 should sound like this when they're looped in. So as I said, at this point it's really important that you press that record and play button to disable the record function at that point and let it play over once before we go in with the chords. And the chords are as follows. We're on like an A sus2 shape, so your 2nd finger should be on the 4th fret of the D and your 3rd finger should be the 4th fret of the G. And everything else is open apart from the bottom E string, which we're muting with our thumb. So that chord should sound like that. The 2nd chord in the song is exactly the same thing, but we're putting our pinky up here on the 6th fret of the bottom E string. So just literally we're adding that bass line in. And the 3rd chord is the same thing, just moving that 6th fret down to the 4th fret, which we're doing with the 1st finger. By the way, whilst we're doing this, we're muting the A string with this finger as well. So that's muted there. And then the 4th chord in that sequence is the same as the 2nd chord, back up to the 6th fret there. And as I said, once we've added this in and then gone over to the 2nd channel and added the loop in there, we're going to undo this. So I'm going to put that loop in just so that you can hear how it sounds. And at this point we're flicking over to channel 2, ready to add the loop in there. And that loop is very, very simple. It's just kind of these octave things. Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 uses these quite a lot. So he's putting the first finger, you're kind of muting everything apart from that bottom E string. So his first finger is up there on the 7th fret, and then that's muting everything else underneath it. So on its own, everything else is muted. And then he's putting his third finger 2 frets up and skipping a string, so on the D string, to add the octave of that note of B there. There's the octave. Same note, just octaves. So that chord kind of thing should sound like that. And then we slide that whole thing up from the 7th fret up to the 11th fret, so it should sound like. And that's just repeated over the whole loop. If you know the song, you know how it should sound, the rhythm and everything. So I'll play that first loop over, and then I'll flick over to channel 2 and add that in for you. And then, as I said, once we've added that, we flick back to channel 1 and undo the last loop that we did there. So it should sound like this. Last loop from channel 1. I'll just stop that while I explain what I'm doing. Undoing that last loop from channel 1, then we need to be playing the chords over it, because of course the chords are going to drop out, and we don't really want anybody to notice that the looped version of that is dropping out and we're replacing it with the new one. So I'm going to start playing the chords over it live so that it doesn't drop out. So I'm assuming that everybody knows how to flick over between the channels on this loop pedal. If you don't know that, I'm using a Boss FS5U, which does that for me. You can see when I press that button, the red LED indicator light flicks over between the channels. If you don't have one of them, you can just press and hold the stop button to do exactly the same thing. So press and hold that, and it'll flick over to the other channel. So yeah, as I said, we're going back to the first track, undoing by pressing and holding the record play button. That'll undo the last thing that we did. That's on both tracks, so I'll do that so that you can see how it should look. So yeah, that's kind of the chords for the verses there. So obviously at that point we start the vocals. Hello there, angel from my nightmare, shadow in the background of the morgue, and all that section. And the chords are just straightforward, keep playing over. It's quite important that for the rest of the song now, we stay on channel 2 on the loop pedal, because that's the only bit that's going to drop out. That beat's going to keep going through the whole song. But when we get to the next chords, which are the chords of the chorus, we're going to drop that other track out, because those two riffs, those two chord sequences don't work together. So when we get to In the Night We Wish This Never Ends, the chords are going to change to the chorus chords, which go as follows. As I said, I'm going to display the chords down here so that you can easily see what I'm doing. But here, it's the same as the first chord of the song, so that A. But the first chord of this chorus sequence is the same as that. And then the second chord, we're adding our first finger onto the A string on the 4th fret, so down here. And then the third chord of that sequence, we're adding our pinky up on the 6th fret. And the next chord, we're taking both of those off, but we're keeping this A string muted because the next note we need is there. So it's like an ascending bass line over that A. So the whole chord is that, but we've got the ascending from there. And then down to the E. So yeah, as I said, it's the A, adding the first finger onto the 4th fret there on the A string, adding the pinky onto the 6th fret of the A string, and then muting that A string completely so you can hear that note is really prominent. And then for the last chord, we take everything off and we put the 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the D. So that's the note, the chord of E major. So yeah, that whole thing all together should sound like this. So as I said before, whilst playing that part, those chords, we should drop out the 2nd channel of the loop pedal, because that sequence and the sequence don't work together. So that should sound something like this after the "In the night we wish this never ends." At that point we're adding back in the 2nd channel of the loop pedal, and then the whole thing is played again because it's the verse and chorus section, and then at the end when we go into those chorus chords, then Tom is singing the "Don't waste your time on me, you're already the voice inside my head" section, and then after that section, we've got this middle 8 section going on where the chords change a little bit, but they're all chords that are played elsewhere in the song. And I should mention before I forget, at this point, we're pulling the 2nd channel of the loop pedal back in again, because I think they work really well together. So it starts off the same as the verse chords, but played backwards. So that A sus shape, but with the 1st finger on the 4th fret of the bottom E string, sorry. So, and then pinky on the 6th fret of the bottom E, and then that A sus2 on its own, and then that E kind of chord that we've got, the last chord of the chorus, and then the whole thing again. So and then we put in the 1st finger on the 4th fret of the A for the last chord there before we go back into the chorus. So the whole thing together should sound like this. And the song kind of ends like that. So at that point, we're not using channel 2 anymore. So I flick back over to channel 1 on the loop pedal and add those chords into the loop so that we can stop playing and we can add the little embellishments at the end, all that stuff. So I'll play over that middle 8 section with the loops and then the chorus, and I'll show you how I'm doing all that. So straight in with the middle 8 goes like this. back over to channel 1. Record those chords. So now those chords are looped, so we're free to play up here the little embellishment bits that I've got going on at the end of the song. So the first one of those is very, well, they're all very simple actually. We've got the first finger on the 12th fret of the B string and the second finger on the 14th fret of the top E, and they're just alternating between the two. And I literally just play that over the whole thing. So I'll do that now as it's very simple. So I think that sounds quite cool there. And then the last loop that we do in the song is from the 14th fret on the top E string down to the 11th fret. To the 14th fret to the 12th fret. To the 14th fret, 12th fret, 11th fret, and then 12th fret on the B string. So it's literally just the vocal melody looped in as well. So we'll bang that into the loops. And that's literally how I end the song, just stopping that loop, letting that chord ring out. It's that A sus2 chord. Let that chord ring out, and that's it. That's the end of the song. So as I said already, if there's any parts of this that I've rushed through or you feel like you haven't taken in properly, please do let me know in the comment section below this video. For any additional stuff that you might want to follow me on, you can get me on Twitter and Instagram and most of the social networks, to be honest. My username is usually Tweed Nelson. So you can go and follow me over there. And if you've seen this video and you found it useful and you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so, because it really does help my channel. And it costs nothing to do. Just click that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up if you've liked the video. And please do come back soon for more loop tutorials, tips and tricks and all that kind of thing. Until next time, take care. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.